Hey, we're back. My name's Cami. This is Man Frand. And we don't often talk about this because it's not my favorite subject nor your favorite subject. But I want to talk about relationships and after they end, where does all of, maybe not the love, depending on the relationship, but where does all that energy in that relationship go? Do you feel like you learn anything? Do you feel like you take anything from each relationship? So my first question is, how much do you really learn in a relationship? I will say it depends on the relationship, first of all. Second of all, I'm talking about like X. This is called X files.
Keep going.
So like, for me, it depends on the relationship. It depends on the person I was with. But I always feel I learned something. And so for me personally, like I'm not going to get into any specifics, nothing like that. But for me personally, I think one of the biggest things I learned in past relationships is that you got to take care of number one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you feel you've learned?
I think in the younger years, you don't really learn. You don't care. You just move on to another one. And you're having fun. I think as you grow older is when I learn more with each one. Mm-hmm. I also learned that I was able to go face to face with Satan, and survive. So that really helped me in an older relationship. I realized how strong I was, and Satan sent right back to hell or Pearl, Mississippi. All right. But I learned plenty. I think we
Okay,
all...
give me something that you actually learned.
I did. I learned. I mean, okay, well, let's take the devil out of it, because you don't like devil talk. Mm-hmm. But no, you learn how strong you are. I think the older you get, or the worse it hurt, you maybe learn what you don't like, or what you do like a little more.
Yeah.
You learn more about yourself, on where your limits are. I mean, it's a limitless amount of what you learn from a relationship, past relationship or something like that.
I think a huge part of it is taking care of number one, right? And I also think a lot of it is, like, maybe we won't talk about the bad stuff. Let's talk about the good stuff that you learned. Like, for me, I think the good stuff that I learned is that, kind of like you, I can go through anything and come out the other end. And yeah, I might be a little bruised and I might be, a little sad. But, when you rise above that, you're right. It becomes like such a powerful feeling. And so even in the worst situation, the worst relationship, the most hurt you've ever been, you always come out on top, because I think, it didn't work for a reason, right? And so it might take you a while to figure out that reason, but I think going through it is what, like a lot of the times people say, how have you, dealt with relationships when it's been a bad breakup? For me, I'm all about the no contact. Like, there is nothing good that's going to come out of a bad breakup with closure, nothing like that. Like, what do you think about closure? Is closure big with you? Like, I really couldn't care less.
I mean, I don't know. That just depends on each
individual.
I mean, I had a long relationship from my earlier high school, early college days.
Yeah.
Good friend. It's not someone you talk to all the time, but I mean, I think of her as still an amazing friend.
Yeah.
And here and there, when stuff you hear about happening with other friends that were in our circle, you still reach out. Heck, I was a usher in, I think, her wedding. We got to be more friends, I think, than we were a relationship at the time. So there's ones you still can keep in touch with, check on, and you're not looking for it. It's not like you're looking for sex or looking for that. Sometimes you still have a bond, and while that bond might not be a relationship or sexual, it can still be a friend. However, you have some of the ones, like one I previously mentioned, where you don't care to hear or talk about the person or anything else, and your life is completely fine as well. I mean, it's just the way it is. And side note, one thing I did learn is that you can't Google how to do an exorcism. I tried those instructions and it didn't work. Crosses don't work, anything else, because that person's been able to go in a church. But I tried. So I'm just saying, you need to go to New Orleans go in one of those back alley past Bourbon Street, little voodoo places, and they'll shoot you straight. Don't Google instructions because it doesn't work.
Okay. So that's going to move me to my final question for this. Is it possible to be friends with an ex? So you kind of explained that a little bit.
I think it's very possible.
It has... Okay, I remember talking with a girlfriend about this, and I thought that this was really interesting. You can only be friends with an ex if you are not in love with them.
That makes sense.
Right? It makes so much sense.
I think it can be if you're responsible adults. Like I said, you're not reaching out. Or if you check in on the person, or depending on how long you were with them, you met a lot of their family. You met a lot of friends that were in the same circle.
Yeah.
We're not getting younger. Family members pass away or get sick, especially in the pandemic or something. You're going to reach out and check on that person. You know, I still have one past relationship that at the time it didn't end well, but I mean, time is healed, and it's not like continuous reaching out ever, but every once in a blue moon, you run into each other, or you might. I still get a Christmas card from the parents.
Yeah,
and it's not. But I'm just saying, like,
I think you are much more mature and able to do that. I just don't think I can.
It just
I've
depends
never
on
been
it.
able to do it.
You know, there's been certain ones I could give a crap to talk to again.
Yeah.
I could give a crap to follow up if I hear something. Like, there's certain ones that things might have gone bad, and if I hear a family member was hurt, then I might reach out to a friend that knows that person just to say, hey, are they doing okay, or whatever else, and that might be it.
Well, that makes sense.
So it's just situational.
I do have one more question.
Okay.
If you all had, and I'm only asking because this might happen to me.
Oh, shit.
If you all have animals together.
Yeah.
And then you move on.
Uh-huh.
And one of the animals, something happens to the animal. Do you have to let that person know?
You mean the person who took custody of the animal?
No, say you both had animals together.
Okay.
One person takes the animal. I know one of my friends, when she had a cat pass, she actually reached out to her ex. She hadn't talked to him in years. And she reached out and told him that the cat had passed. Is that something that you have to do?
I think so, especially if you got one and you were closer. I will say, in the prior one that I referred to, in humorous yet serious ways, there was a little Yorkie, very cute, and whatever, and I was fine. I mean, went with her, and that's fine. But you hear later on that basically her and the guy she cheated on me with, little fucker, they didn't either like the little dog anymore, or were upset, or it actually took effort. So I heard that he just wasn't being taken care of, so the mom had to take him in. But you know what? That's half expected because she was a lazy bitch. Oh. But
that's not good. See, there's still a lot of anger there.
No, you got to do that. It's all right. You can have feelings. You let it out. Like, pss, pss. It's like a little air. Let the air out of the tank. But I think with animals, if you were close to them, because I know plenty of people, and we definitely
that's what I'm wondering,
have some mutual ones that y'all raise the dog together and stuff. And if it goes off and somebody's sick or in there, hey, would you even, like, if you knew you're going to have to put them down or her down or whatever, then I think you could even call and y'all are both there when it happens. That's a mutual connection you had. But that dog also loved both of you, or that cat, or whatever animal it has. Yeah. So I think, for one, if it's sick, I think just let people know. I think it's okay. If it's a brutal thing, and obviously, like, say you took animal and I had no attachment, like I could have cared less, than no. But if it's obviously one that you both love and cared about, then
maybe it is a thing then.
I think it just depends on the relationship with the animal, honestly. There's couples where some people have hated the other one's animal. They don't abuse it or anything else. They just don't like it. Like, you just stay away from it. And I think in that case, you ain't got to say anything. You're taking care of yourself.
Okay, what's your question for me?
Okay, well, I'll ask this. It's anything too deep. But you hear, since we're talking about couples that, break up or divorce or whatever else, and they did have an animal during that time that they were both like and very close with. When they separate, do you think they should still kind of do a joint custody, or do you think once it's that person has decided who's going to get it, that takes the animal and then maybe only reaches back out if
No,
I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked that. I mean, I think once you break up, I mean, it's not. I love my cat and dogs, like cats and dog, like they're humans, but they're not like a shared custody thing. I don't believe in that. I think it just needs to go one place.
And I agree with that.
Like,
I think that, like I said, it's just how we discussed earlier. You know, if something were to happen to an animal, then just say, hey, he's in the hospital. Or if it's about to be put down, like, say one went, then that's something I would at least like to go to the vet and be there during the time. And then after that done, it's not anything that sparks up anything. You're there. You can be there for the animal that you both loved. That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Just sucking down that beer. This was a good one, wasn't it, babe?
Yeah, good one.
That was another episode of Man Frand. Thank you for joining us.
Mm-hmm.